Hey everyone, thanks for joining me again today. If you're just coming to this video for the first time without seeing the others, please know that this is part of a three-part series on the topic of climate change. And the purpose of these videos is to give you motivation to get writing. I'm not going to write your paper for you, but I'm going to help you think about how to generate vocabulary and ideas to get started writing. All right, so we've already talked about vocabulary and ideas and planning. Now we're going to start looking at searching for sources for this topic. All right, searching for credible sources. Let's take a minute to talk about that word in case you're unfamiliar with it. So incredible, do you know that word? Incredible. It means unbelievable. Okay, so credible means believable, okay, trustworthy. So when we're looking for credible sources, we're looking for sources that we can trust. And we can trust, well, I'll just leave that for the next slide. What can we trust? So when you are looking for sources, the first place I suggest that you look is if you're at a university, to use the university library search engines. Your fees pay for those, and so it's really useful for you to use those search engines. They're very good at finding academic sources. But today we're going to focus on how to use Google because it's available to everybody. Granted, your country doesn't have a firewall against it. And so we're going to use Google. And we're going to determine the credibility of the sites that we find based on a checklist. So let's go over that checklist now. So we're going to look to see if the source has an author, who the author is, does the author have experience or education in the topic? If it's an organization that's the author, what's the purpose of the organization? Is this organization corporate? In other words, are they making money off of something? If someone's making money, it's really important to think about well, if they're making money, what are they trying to persuade you to believe so that they make money? Are they selling you something? And so on. Is the organization nonprofit? In general, I tend to put more credibility in a nonprofit because they're not trying to make money. They're trying to share ideas or they're trying to support a cause. But you do have to pay attention to pages like About Us, or if there's information about how the nonprofit uses their money, go and look at their budget. If it's a government agency, is it a government that you trust? Is it an agency that is reputable? And also, it's becoming important to make sure that it's actually a government agency and it's not just some person who's created a site and calls itself a government agency website. So we'll look at these ideas. Also, we'll look at, does the article have a title and a publication date? Does the website have advertisements? If this website has way too many advertisements, give it less credibility because they're trying to sell you something, okay? Does the article provide a list of sources or hyperlinks to show where their information is coming from? And also, as you're looking at sources, consider what the purpose is. Is the purpose of whatever you're reading to give you information? Is it to make you laugh? Is it to persuade you? Is it a blog? I've had a number of students that when they're searching on Google, they find a blog post and they use that as a source for their paper. And that blog post doesn't have sources. It's based on the author's opinion. Those are really not good websites to use in an academic paper. All right, so I'm going to leave this up. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to go away for a minute. And I'm going to bring Google. Nope, not what I want. Let's try this again. I'm going to go to okay. I'm still becoming skilled at doing this. I'm not great, so don't laugh. All right, so here we are in Google. We're going to search for some sources. Let's say we want to focus on the effects or causes. Let's go with causes. Causes of climate change. Okay. And here we go. All right, so now as I'm looking at Google, I'm going to walk you through my thought process about how I'm selecting sources. So first I see up here scholarly articles for climate change. That might be nice. Should we try one? Let's just try one. All right, so this was published in a journal. I can see that it has a DOI number here. That's a good indication that it's an academic source coming from a journal. And I'm reading this, and let's see. Can I make this bigger? Yeah. Whew, Lordy. The first thing I think is, this is a little advanced. And I'm going to act like an intermediate English learner, and I'm going to say, not this one. This one's just a little too much for me. No problem. Let's go back. Let's look at what's down here. Maybe we can find a source that doesn't have such dense academic English, but is still credible. So let's go to this first one. .gov. That's government. Yeah, we already looked. Yeah, this is the same one. So this is by NASA. So let's say we don't know anything about NASA. Let's see here. I'm looking for about NASA. So I just clicked on, did you see how I did that? I clicked on their icon here. And I want to know about what NASA is. About NASA, okay? So I can find out what it is. And no matter what your organization is, if it's credible, it should have an About Us page or About This Organization page. And you can find out information about it, what they do. They have contact information. That's a good indication that they're credible if they have contact information. Okay. There's other information here about their leadership, who leads them. So this is a credible source. So let's go back to that original page. All right. So causes of climate change. Let's look for an author. Do we have an author? I don't see an author's name. Usually the author's name is at the top, and I don't see one. So that means that the organization is claiming credit for being the author of this information. They're not giving credit to one particular person. And we think that NASA is a credible source. So, okay, now let's look for a date. I don't see any dates so far. Nothing here. Let's go all the way to the bottom. Site last updated July 30th, 2019. So if you don't see if you don't see a date for, hope that's not making you seasick, me scrolling so fast. If you do not see a date up here, I would go with the date that's on the bottom of the website. And they're saying this date here. Okay. All right. Let me bring up our checklist. All right, so we looked at author, we looked at the organization. It has a title, it has a date. I didn't see any advertisements, did you? We'll check again, but I didn't really see any. Do they have a list of sources? Let's check that out. Okay. I did see hyperlinks throughout there, and here are references. So yeah, that's pretty nice. I think you would be surprised when you pay attention that there are a lot of articles on the internet that do not have sources. They just have information. So the fact that this has sources makes it very, very credible. All right. And what is the purpose? So let's go back. Our purpose. What do you think the purpose is of this? Is it an opinion piece? I don't think so. Because we have down here scientific consensus. That means a lot of people agree on a particular statement. It's not to make us laugh, so it's not entertain. But in a way, it is intended to persuade. This whole series of websites is giving us this idea of here are the causes, here are the effects. A lot of the scientists agree on it. So it's building a persuasive argument. All right. So I think that brings us to the end of what I wanted to get to today for searching for sources. So, right. So there's, again, some of my references that I've used. In our next video, do we have another video? I don't think so. I think this is the end. Okay. So let's wrap it up then. Thank you so much for joining me on this 3-part series of getting involved in climate change and starting to write your essay about climate change. I hope that this has helped. And honestly, I really do think that the hardest part of writing is getting your ideas together. Once you have your ideas together, writing goes so much easier. So please spend time planning and thinking about what you want to say before you sit down to actually write. Thanks for joining me today, and I will definitely see you next time.